Welcome to the Natural Health Show with one of New England's leading natural health care specialists, Mark Mincola. Call Mark at 781-837-4900 on 95.9 WATD. He's waiting to hear from you.
Welcome home, Natural Health Nation. My name is Mark Mincola. You're listening to the Natural Health Show, of course. Heard only on 95.9 FM WATD. Great to have you on board. We hope your week has gone smoothly and hope your celebratory activities are safe and sound and of good choice as well, especially when it comes to food. Hey, you know, we don't often talk about it, but it's a great topic to kick around. It's called brain boosting. And there's so many different ways to consider natural brain boosting. There's so many different biochemical support systems and dietary approaches. We're going to talk about the 5 foods that are the premium classification foods for brain boosting. We're also going to talk about some remarkable supplements. But before we do that, you know, 1 in 8 Americans over the age of 60 suffer from very severe memory loss issues, and Alzheimer's is expected, this is a remarkable figure, listen to this, to move from 5 million to 13.8 million Americans, or triple by the year 2050. So over the next 37 years, Alzheimer's is expected to triple. That is incredible. So brain boosting is an important issue. You're talking about the part of the body that is really fat. The brain is 3 pounds. It's a 3-pound mass of fatty tissue, or myelin mass, that insulates all the nerve endings, et cetera, et cetera. So when we talk about different supplements that support brain function, we're of course talking about fatty acids, various types of good, healthy fats, nutritional fats that can make a big difference. We're also talking about a number of different remarkable natural supplements as well. We're going to talk about huperzine A, which is an ancient old Chinese herb. It's actually Chinese club moss. It's been used for over 4,000 years in Chinese medicine, and you can certainly purchase it these days. Huperzine, Huperzine, huperzine A. The Chinese called it Qian Seng Ta, and it's been a natural antioxidant for many, many centuries. It's referred to as a sesquiterpene. You know the word turpentine, of course, and turpentine, of course, is a very powerful plant-based agent extracted from a plant called the Chinese club moss. That's exactly what this terpene is. It's a triple isoprene, and huperzine is a very powerful, powerful brain-boosting agent that is safe, easy to use, quite effective. A lot of great research on it. We're going to talk about that. The ancient Chinese, as we said a moment ago, have used it as a natural anti-inflammatory and a memory enhancer for over 4,000 years. Also been found to treat bruises, swellings, arthritis, myasthenia gravis, organophosphate poisoning, and schizophrenia as well. So it's a very powerful all-purpose herb, but is really specifically focused at the brain level. In other words, the objective of huperzine is a powerful antioxidant, as we said, a sesquiterpene from the Chinese club moss plant that from the beginning of time has been used by many, many ancient ancestors of ours, especially the Chinese, of course. And because it certainly has an affinity to support brain function, memory recall, cognitive function, and just has a remarkable ability, again, according to a lot of new research, to support patients with Alzheimer's, dementia, and again, based on controlled trials published in the Cochrane database, the scientific database, scientifically confirmed as an anti-Alzheimer's medicine, more effective than placebo in these different studies. And again, the remarkable part of it is that it helps the brain to neutralize inflammation and helps the brain to manage more efficiently in terms of neurotransmission, memory, recall, cognitive function, etc. So huperzine A, Huperzine A, and we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about some interesting studies regarding other supplements as well. We're going to talk a little bit about DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, which is I would say there's 2 different primary fats in fish oils. There's one that's really good for the heart and the cardiovascular system. There's one that's really especially good and has an affinity for the brain and brain function. So that is the DHA component of fish oils that we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about avocados, which have been proven to support the prefrontal cortex of brain functioning. And because of the monounsaturated fats, research done at Kansas State University and the brain nerve cell supports that have been documented in this particular research because of the monounsaturated supports in the fatty acid of avocado are very well documented at this point. So again, avocado is a top 5 brain food, fatty fish, of course, leafy greens because of their iron and folic acid, berries, and spices as well because of their high antioxidant properties. Again, antioxidants neutralize the negative effects of free radicals, and that, of course, supports brain anti-inflammation. So extremely important ways to treat your brain and to boost your brain's function. We're going to talk about it from the standpoint of both supplements as well as the perspective of nutrition as well. The top 5 foods that I'd recommend for brain boosting, and the top 4 or 5 supplements I think that are really, really important to think about as well. They work very well together, and a lot of the research indicates that very fact. So when we come back from these messages, we're going to talk with you about natural brain boosting. Stay right where we are.
Hi, it's Laura from Good Health. It's official. The new market at 1630 Hancock Street in Quincy is open. The store is spectacular. It's everything we've been hoping for and more. We're proud of our new home, and we invite you to come by, park in our lot, and enjoy our daily food tastings. Like Good Health, our vendors are committed to quality and consumer satisfaction. We carry even more premium quality vitamins by Solgar, Megafood, Life Extension, and Jarrow. Our shelves are stocked with many award-winning, patented formulas, as well as many kosher and vegetarian varieties. So if you appreciate outstanding service and value, shop with us today. Purchase organic, non-GMO products for your entire family, and we guarantee you'll look and feel better. Our selection is impressive. All of our supplements, herbs, protein powders, and food items are competitively priced every day. At Good Health, we understand that your time is valuable, so we keep everything affordable and convenient. Log on to goodhealthnaturalfood.com for hours and special events. We look forward to seeing you, and thanks for listening.
You know, when most people hear the word allergies, they think only of hay fever-like symptoms associated with airborne pollen, dust, and mold. But did you know that many experts estimate that between 60 and 80 million of us suffer from immune-related food allergies without even knowing it? Furthermore, food allergies often contribute to serious health problems such as autism, irritable bowel syndrome, ADD, headaches, and chronic ear infections. Now, there's an effective way to identify and eliminate both your food allergies and the troubling symptoms that they aggravate. Allotest Medical Labs at foodallergy.com offers a full complement of clinical, environmental, and food allergy testing to help you get to the root of your allergy problems. Allotest also provides you with a comprehensive rotation diet, lifestyle booklet, and a wallet card to help you live food allergy-free and stress-free. Do you wonder if you or your loved ones are among the 60 to 80 million food allergy sufferers in America? If so, log on to Allotest Medical Labs, foodallergy.com. Talk to your doctor about ordering a food allergy test from Allotest Medical Labs today. Foodallergy.com. Make sure the food you're eating isn't what's depleting you.
Now, back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Food, Allotest Medical Labs, Santee Holistic Center, and Healthy Living Magazine.
All righty, welcome back, and let's get right to the phone lines. We got Ellen. Ellen, welcome to the Natural Health Show. How are you?
Hi, Dr. Mark.
Great to hear from you.
Thanks. My question concerns a 50-year-old woman who for some time has had a large uterine fibroid, and what's been suggested is laparoscopic surgery, abdominal hysterectomy. And my question is, in your experience, is there any way of avoiding surgery?
That's going to be probably fairly difficult. What we're talking about is a structural mass, something that is physiological, and it's pretty hard to move tissue masses. There are natural medicines, of course, that are purported to do such things. There's a molecular biologic protocol that's called MB number 17. It's been used for 30, 40 years with limited success, I would say. And it's essentially a combination of scrofularia, nausea tripudians, and there's one other thing in there that I can't think of, but scrofularia and nausea tripudians are very effective medicines and have been over the years for removing and breaking down Aschar's masses that are smaller masses. As far as larger masses, probably again, you're probably restricted in terms of the success that you're likely to have with something like the MB17. But you can actually consider using Naja, N-A-J-A, tripudians, Tripudians, Naja tripudians. I'd recommend a 30x potency, 3 pellets under the tongue 3 times a day. Of course, the diet has to change. This natural medicine business is really not just about the pills and the pellets. It's about the food as well. You can't be contributing to the problem with diet and then trying to make it go away with medicine. It doesn't work that way. Does that help at all?
It does. Thank you very much.
Best wishes. Take care, and thank you for calling.
You're welcome.
All right, let's get back on point here. We just mentioned the outside of the broadcast, we're talking about natural brain boosting, a very rarely spoken about issue, and I think it's a very important issue. Again, 1 in 8 Americans over the age of 60. That's an astounding number. 1 in 8 Americans over the age of 60 with very severe memory loss problems. And also, as we point out, the Alzheimer's issue is going to climb and astronomically blow the charts right off the wall, because we're talking about going from 5 million to 13.8 million over the next 37 years. So one of the faster growing diseases, if you will, certainly looks like Alzheimer's, which is, again, slated to triple over the next 37 years. So, wow, astounding. And again, there's a lot of reasons for it. Obviously, the population is living longer, but I sort of tend to favor the concept of too much toxic metals in the environment, too much mercury in our seafood, too much aluminum is finding its way into our food masses. A lot of people, of course, are using aluminum foil over very acidic foods, which leaches the aluminum into our foods and our stored foods. And these toxic metals like lead, aluminum, beryllium, mercury, cadmium, copper, these things are really problematic that find their way into brain tissues, find their way into fatty masses. Again, the brain is a 3-pound mass of fatty tissue. So all these mercuries, et cetera, they're going to find their way, these toxic metals will find their way into fatty tissues where they sediment into these fatty tissues. And in fact, that's why fish is often a problem food, because the prized nutritional component of things like salmon, of course, everybody knows, is the good fat, the healthy omega-3 fats, which is precisely what makes them problematic, or tuna fish, which makes them problematic as far as toxic mercury goes. Because these toxic metals, such as mercury, are going to have this affinity to be drawn right into fatty tissues. So it's unfortunate that the most prized part of our seafood is actually the part where the toxic metals are drawn into. And again, toxic metals have been directly implicated. Study after study certainly proves as such that these brain problems, these dementias and Alzheimer's, directly correlated with the amount of aluminum in the brain. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of, we've done hundreds of cases over the years of patients diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. And, obviously we do these mineral tests on them and find the really elevated levels of mercury, aluminum, lead, beryllium, et cetera. So direct corollaries, you can read about it, study about it, and I've seen it firsthand as well. So too much toxicity in the environment, too much toxicity in our world and our plates, and in our waters, in our air, and it's a fact of life. And to me, that is one of the primary reasons why Alzheimer's is going to triple over the next 37 years. Astounding numbers, but good news is a lot we can do about it. So that's what tonight's broadcast is really about. Well, what can we do about it? Again, I mentioned Huperzine, H-U-P-E-R, Huperzine, H-U-P-E-R-Z-I-N-E, A, capital A. And Huperzine A is, again, it's an ancient Chinese medicine. It's from an herb called the Chinese club moss, Huperzaria serrata, and as a Chinese medicine, it was called Qian Seng Ta. It's been used for over 4,000 years, and it's an antioxidant. It's a sesquiterpene, which means it is a triple isoprene, powerful alkaloid herb, to really kind of distill it down to simplicity for you. A very powerful alkalizing and alkaloid herb is Chinese club moss. And it's extracted from the plant is this Huperzine A medicine, this natural medicine, which is truly remarkable. And again, as we point out, the Chinese have used Huperzia for centuries as an anti-inflammatory, a memory enhancer. Also, they've used to treat bruises, swelling, arthritis, myasthenia gravis, organophosphate poisoning, and even schizophrenia. So it's been used pretty broadly over the years and very successfully. And as we said, too, here we are thousands of years later now, and there's a compilation of a great deal of scientific research validating that Huperzine A is a very powerful choline, what they call a choline waste inhibitor. So It's called a cholinesterase inhibitor, type of medicine that prevents the breakdown of acetylcholine in the brain. Acetylcholine, of course, is directly affiliated with learning, with memory, with brain function, brain efficiency. The less of it you have, the less efficient you will be at a brain level. The more you have, the more efficient you'll be at a brain level. It's a very powerful neurotransmission precursor, helps the brain work real sharp, real clear, really active, great recall. You can really bet on your brain functioning at a very high level if there's a sufficient supply of acetylcholine in your brain. It's basically a B vitamin. But it's a powerful neurotransmission precursor that actually makes that brain work smoothly. Again, the concept of huperzine A being really useful at a biochemical level is based on the idea that huperzine A keeps the acetylcholine in your brain. It keeps you from losing it. So it really makes it more efficient to hold on to the tremendous support that you get from this acetylcholine. So acetylcholine is key. Huperzine helps your brain keep it, not lose it. That's really important. Huperzine A has been shown to repair neurotransmitters in the brain and boost energy and increase alertness as well in the brain. So, we talk about energy a lot of the time. A lot of people think that energy is purely a neck-down proposition, the body. They think energy is all about the body. To be honest with you, most energy issues are brain-based. So a lot of folks don't realize that when you're kind of fatigued and having to kind of drag yourself through the work day or the school day, it's more often than not a problem at a brain level than it is a body level. The brain is usually going first and foremost forward, ever forward, or attempting to, I should say, and the body's kind of following the brain around. So it seems to be the opposite. It's not that way. The brain is the major control center. It is the place where Oz resides. Not Dr. Oz either. Anyway, it is a place where your entire functional system is kind of queued up and led through its paces. Extremely important to make sure that you understand that energy is largely a brain-based function. At any rate, there's some recent trials that we found. 454 subjects published in the Cochrane database, which is a really extensive scientific database of research, that huperzine A is now being successfully confirmed as an anti-Alzheimer's medicine, more effective than placebo. That was a 2008 study. It protects the brain from brain inflammation and age-related decline associated with Alzheimer's and associated with dementia. That's a 2008 study published in the Cochrane database. Also, more recently, 2011 study published in the Journal of Neurology. 210 subjects with moderate Alzheimer's disease who received huperzine A to the tune of 200 micrograms, which is, by the way, a standard dose, 200 mcgs, not milligrams, micrograms, 200 micrograms per day for a period of 16 weeks or 4 months, if you will, found a dramatic contrast in their brain function. Memory, recall, cognitive recall, et cetera, et cetera. So there have been some great new studies about huperzine A that are very promising with regards to making sure that we're boosting that brain in terms of its ability to function and to remember, which is, of course, something that a lot of people can relate to. I mean, a lot of people kind of wake up in the morning and say, where did I put my car keys last night? And you can kind of almost hear that in unison across the country every morning because I hear people all week long saying, I can't remember where I put anything. What's going on here? I just say, you know what, there's ways to get those neurotransmitters up and running more efficiently, more smoothly, more effectively, and huperzine A is one of those ways to get things to work more smoothly at a memory-based level. So consider taking a look, doing a little bit of research on huperzine, huperzine A. Pretty remarkable product that you can purchase at any health food store. 1998 Chinese study, and actually it was a study on students' memory function, cognitive function, efficiency function at a brain level. They found that huperzine was extremely effective at resulting in far greater improvements in learning and memory than those given placebo. So another really interesting placebo review. They go back as far as 1998. Excuse me. So huperzine has been studied pretty broadly on both sides of the ocean. And a lot of folks are probably wondering what I'd recommend for huperzine and if there's side effects, things like that. It is an herb. It's an extract from an herb. So obviously anytime there's a an herb being taken or an extract from an herb, there's a possibility for some nausea, diarrhea, loss of appetite, a couple things like that. So if you take the huperzine A at 200 mcgs, which is what I'd recommend for dosing, and you notice you get a little sick stomach, stop using it. But for the most part, it's pretty scot-free. It's been studied pretty extensively for side effects. Not a lot going on as far as side effects go. Pretty safe herb, but all herbs, again, are very astringent. They are powerful. A lot of folks, of course, know that the astringency of a food actually kind of has a great deal to do with just how the side effect potential is as well. Meaning that when you take foods, for example, like garlic, very pungent, very astringent, very powerful foods, the potential punch of their medicinal value is the very thing that makes them hard to break down, hard to digest, and capable of therefore producing some side effects. Oatmeal doesn't produce a lot of side effects. It just doesn't have a lot of dynamism, I should say. So the idea of a food being very dynamic and having a lot of pungency, a lot of alkaloid pungency, like so many herbs, as well as pungent foods and spices, just the opposite. So keep an eye on it. Give it a try. It's well worth a try. Do some research. Do some reading on huperzine A. But 200 mcgs. I like the Source Naturals brand, S-O-U-R-C, Source Naturals brand. 200 mcgs once a day. You could take as many as 2 a day if you really want to be super sharp. You start off with 1, kind of evaluate your progress with it, and then if you need to take more than 1, you can take 2, because 400 mcgs is not a high dose. 200 is a standard, 400 is fine. I'll put it that way. All right, I wanted to also talk about a couple other really important support medicines as well. The idea that we can use more than one thing to boost brain function is extremely important to know, because they have slightly different approaches to doing it. So in other words, it depends on how well-rounded your dietary program, your nutritional program, and your supplement program are. As we said, huperzine A has a way of kind of making sure that your acetylcholine is storing at a high level in your brain. Acetylcholine is vital as a neurotransmitter precursor. Your brain cannot function for much of anything without an appreciable amount of acetylcholine. And again, huperzine A is a way to make sure you are not wasting it, not losing it, not burning it out, but making certain that you are sustaining, absorbing, and reabsorbing your acetylcholine. Extremely vital brain nutrient, well preserved by huperzine A. Okay? As far as other natural medicines for the brain, for brain boosting, I always talk about EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, EGCG. Big long term, epigallocatechin gallate. What did he say? Ryan's looking at me confused over there. It's all it is. Just think of simple terms. It's green. Just think of green tea. That's all. Right. It's an antioxidant commonly found in green tea. It's a very powerful antioxidant, and it actually has a profound affinity for the brain, and specifically for neutralizing Alzheimer's plaques. And there was a great study done in 2005. A study between UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, and the Veterans Administration out in Los Angeles, 2005. The two of these groups got together, funded and executed this great study that basically looked at veterans from Vietnam who were aging, and many of them becoming incapacitated with dementia and Alzheimer's. So they gave them really high concentrations of DHA from fish oil, from fatty fish, and EGCG from green tea. And they were able to dissolve a number of the Alzheimer's plaques over a period of 5 months. Remarkable study. But the key here is EGCG is an antioxidant that really supports brain function by helping dissolve the plaques that make it very difficult for your brain to function efficiently. So EGCG is epigallocatechin gallate, and there's a product called EGCG Max. EGCG Max. 700 milligrams, I say take 2 a day. The research that was done in 2005 between UCLA and the Veterans Administration was really talking about the idea of the equivalent of 1,200 milligrams a day. The human equivalency of 1,200 milligrams a day. So EGCG max is 700 per capsule. That means 2 of them are 1,400. So that's a comparable dose that really matches that particular study that we just mentioned. So we cited a study I think is pretty important. We want to basically kind of maintain a fairly high concentrated dose. 1,400 milligrams, perfect. Perfect. So that's EGCG max, 700 milligram caps, 2 a day. No side effects at all there. That's really probably one of the most side effect free of all supplements that you'll ever consider using. So if you want to get that brain crystal clear, functioning properly, EGCG max, great way to do it, 2 a day. Now the question is, could you do it with Huperzine A? Well, of course you could. Not a big deal. You want that brain crackling? It's a good way to do it. So Huperzine A, we said 200 mcgs, 1 to 2 a day. EGCG max, 700 milligrams, 2 a day. You will be thinking crystal clearly. All right, we've got a little bit of conversation we're going to have about a few more important brain-boosting supplements, which you may or may not have heard of. Vinpocetine. We're going to talk about vinpocetine, which is a remark that's often been called the Viagra for the brain. There you go. So give you a little lead in there. But anyway, it's a superb brain booster, which we're going to talk about. It increases the circulatory response of the brain, gets blood and nutrients moving through the brain in various vectors of the brain that perhaps are nutrient deficient, and vinpocetine is a great brain circulator that makes sure that nutrients find their way to every little spot, every nook and cranny in that lovely brain of yours. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about DHA a little bit more as well, and DMAE, which we've talked about from time to time as well, dimethylaminoethanol, all really superb brain boosters. And not last but not least, I should say, is the conversation we're going to have here before the night's out about my top 5 foods for brain boosting, and they really are very good supplement, very good nutrient-rich foods to make sure that your brain is clicking on all 4 cylinders as well. So we'll talk about all that with you when we come back. Stay tuned. Hi, this is Mark Mincola. You know, over the past decade, the Natural Health Show has attracted many thousands of avid listeners. I'd like to extend an open invitation to all potential new sponsors to join our Natural Health Show family. If you own a Heart Smart lighter fare or seafood restaurant, a fitness or day spa, or if you're an allied health professional or coach, the Natural Health Show is the perfect place for you to make the direct connection with your demographic target. If you really want to zero in and aim the message of your vision directly at those who want to most know about it, join the Natural Health Show family of sponsors. I promise you'll be glad you did. For information, call Candida at 781-834-2728. That's 781-834-2728. With the burgeoning growth of the Natural Health Show, now's the perfect time to share in that growth together.
Now, back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Food, Alites Medical Labs, Santee Holistic Center, and Healthy Living Magazine.
All right, welcome back. Hopefully your weekend's going smoothly and your brain is clicking smoothly as well. And hopefully you're not indulging on too much funky food. It's out there. Holidays, that's what we do in America, right? America's all about funky food on holiday weekends. And interesting thing, it's kind of like they say that 90% of all heart attacks occur at 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday mornings. Can't imagine what people are doing on weekends, clogging the arteries and then expecting to get through the week. It's probably a good idea to eat a little bit better on those weekends, those holiday weekends. It's like people sometimes go a little bit overboard, so hopefully you're not doing that. But we're talking with you this evening about your precious brain, the way it functions, and how to keep it running smoothly with the concept of natural brain boosting. Natural brain boosting. We talked about Huperzine A, the importance of Huperzine A, EGCG. We're going to talk about vinpocetine. Vinpocetine is, of course, an extract from the periwinkle plant. It's an enzyme-based protein. It's a sub-protein from the periwinkle plant that has been found to assist the brain in circulating blood and nutrients, making sure that blood and nutrients are finding their way into those distant corners of your brain. And it's, when you see thermogenic scans of the brain, there's areas that are hot, areas that are cold. There's areas that tend to get less supportive circulation than other areas. The thermogenetics would reveal that areas of red and yellow in the brain and the scans are more actively circulated. The areas of blue, of course, are not. You look at certain brain scans after they've administered vinpocetine. A lot of brain scan studies will show that after administering vinpocetine, areas that were previously blue and under-circulated go the other way. They get warmed up, they get circulated pretty nicely, and the whole concept of delivery is really what it's all about, because when things are being properly circulated, there's a higher nutrient and blood-based delivery to those sections of the brain. That's really what vinpocetine is all about, and that's what the research does indeed indicate, that as a nutritional supplement, vinpocetine is a great way to make certain that you're getting a complete circulation of nutrients and blood to those distant corners of your brain. Es muy importante. So vinpocetine can be found in 10 milligram doses. Once again, I recommend 2 of those, or 20 milligrams of vinpocetine a day. So far we've talked about Chinese club moss, or huperzine A, 200 mcgs times 2. EGCG, epigalicatic and gallate, easy for me to say. 700 milligrams in the EGCG max, times 2, please. And then we just mentioned vinpocetine. I do like the jar of formulas vinpocetine. I think it's a good product. And that's, again, 10 milligrams, much lower dose, times 2, or 20 total. Also, a couple different times earlier in the evening, we talked about DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. DHA, of course, is nothing more than a fatty fish oil. It's one of your omega-3s. People are often aware of the importance, the anti-inflammatory properties of, and the health properties of fish oils. The omega-3 fish oils, of course, really super natural medicine. But there's 2 different major components to the fatty acids in the fish oil capsules. One is EPAs, eicosapentaenoic acid, which is, in my opinion, more of a heart-based or cardiovascular-based support. The research seems to indicate that the other one, the DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, DHA, tends to be more inclined to support brain function and brain circulation. So EPAs support heart circulation, DHAs brain circulation. Now, they'll both cross over, but there's been a lot of great research that seems to indicate that there are affinities for each of those, as mentioned. So DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, has been studied extensively as a brain-boosting agent, that improves brain function from the standpoint of cutting down on brain inflammation. Because for a brain to be efficient, it can't be dealing with inflammation. That just doesn't cut it. And there's many different ways that inflammation manifests at a brain level. A lot of folks not aware of the fact that chronic herpetic viruses, for example, allergenesis, a lot of allergies, especially this time of year, you got pollen counts at 11.8 when they only go to 12. So the pollen is extremely high right now. It is way up there. And a lot of folks, of course, not clicking on all 4 cylinders because the brain function really has to override a lot of that circuitry, override a lot of that stress and that inflammation at a brain level. So inflammation can actually be something that is bacterial. Inflammation can be viral. Inflammation can also be trauma-based. Inflammation can also be nutritional-based and food allergy-based, environmental allergy-based. So in any of these cases, DHA is really supportive, really helpful for brain inflammation. Let's grab another call. We got Roy on the line from Rhode Island. Welcome to the program, Roy.
Welcome, Mark. Good evening. How are you?
Thank you, sir. Very well, thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
I was admitted to the hospital on the 17th of May, and one of the problems they found was my CPK level was over 1,800. They blamed it on the fact, and I don't buy it, that I was taking too much fish oil.
Oh, please.
What would cause my CPK in general terms to go that high?
It's a phosphokinase enzyme that actually can be drawn up from a variety of different things. I mean, you could actually, it's an inflammatory marker.
I have myositis. I just found this out.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That is your answer right there.
Right. I was taking 6 omega-3, 6 and 9 a day.
There's no way fish oils are going to cause inflammation.
Right.
Drive up your CPK.
Well, first of all, I didn't mean to step on you. is 6 capsules a day considered too much?
It's a high dose. I would consider 4 a maximum dose, Roy, but I don't think 6 is going to be any kind of a worry for you. I mean, I know people have taken a lot more than that for a lot longer period of time. No worries.
All right. But now how do we deal in general terms with myositis?
Well, I think you're probably going to have to find your way to the nutritional component of anti-inflammation. To me, inflammation and anti-inflammation are first mediated at a dietary level, not at a supplement level. So even if you're taking 6 fish oil caps, which I think is okay, and I think the main important issue here is, what are you eating? Are there any inflammatory influences in your diet? And then the other thing I'd say is you want to think about interleukin 1 and 6. Because, you think about the prostaglandin 2s, the inflammatory PGE2s that your body has to contend with when you're eating the wrong kind of foods. But even if you're eating the right kind of foods and your inflammation is not coming from diet, it could be coming from stress. So the interleukin 1, interleukin 6 are these stress hormones, the stress eicosanoids that drive up your inflammation just like eating the wrong kind of foods would.
Right. That makes sense.
Inflammation is a very broad spectrum issue. It's something that we really need to understand a lot more, a lot better, and I think we need to kind of learn how to treat it ourselves by understanding how to neutralize our stresses with meditation and a changing of our minds. I'm one of those people who believes you can reformat your thinking and change your mind. You need to work hard at it, and you can't take any days off.
No, I agree, and I also, just to help you along, I also have swelling of the feet.
Okay. Swelling of the feet, and Chinese medicine, of course, would tell you that swelling of the feet would indicate that your kidneys are deficient.
Oh, boy. Wow.
Because the kidney meridian right at the bottom of the foot is kidney 1, that's the bubbling spring, but kidney points, in terms of acupuncture points 1 through 7, are like all around the feet and ankles. And anytime there's any kind of inflammation or retention of fluid in the feet, you usually want to look at kidney deficiency from adrenal excess, stress.
Yeah. Well, my adrenals are all messed up, unfortunately, because my thyroid, and I've got a lot of different things going on, and I'm doing the very best that I can with my diet. But it just, I'll tell you, it was a scary situation, believe me. I'm doing better, but I'm really watching myself more closely now than, not that I haven't been, but more so now than ever before. It's very, very frightening.
I know you really do work at it, but I'm going to tell you that I think your diet, there are times that unfortunately arise that dictate to us, and I think this is one of those times where you're being dictated to, that your diet has zero margin for error. If you're going to operate at a preventive level and at a natural treatment level with nutrition, food is your medicine, Roy.
I hear you.
And you cannot cut any corners.
Nope.
The days for corner cutting are gone and long behind you.
Oh, I believe me, it's quite scary. I mean, I've been through this 3 times already, and not that I haven't been paying attention, but you vacillate just a little bit. You're absolutely right. And I bring this up because, listeners out there, all your points are well taken. They need to be paying attention because traditional medicine, believe me, it has its place to a degree, but they are just so removed from everything. And when they indicate to me, oh, you're taking too much fish oil, believe me, I wasn't ready to take that, and neither am I going to go on diuretics because you're really masking the problem when you start going on diuretics and doing other things.
Well, again,
other than nutrition.
I think that, over the years I've seen thousands of folks, continue to see them on a weekly basis that are really turning their lives around and improving their health factors dramatically when they dedicate themselves to what they need to get done dietarily.
Right.
So it's a tough proposition, because in our world, you spend the week getting all kinds of stressed out, and then a weekend comes around, you want to cut loose and cut a few corners, I should say, and enjoy your food, and enjoy your times, which is fine, understandable. But you have to break with that tradition when you have a condition such as you've been confronted with, and those days are gone. You got to turn it around and use food as your medicine right now.
Absolutely. Listen, it's always a pleasure, Mark.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you so much, Roy. Have a beautiful night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. I think that it's a great point that you can make food your pleasure, you can make food your medicine, or you can kind of split the difference. But the occasion of a condition such as myositis or any kind of disease that's been diagnosed in your world requires that you shift your gears requires that you dedicate yourself to using your food as medicine. You don't have the luxury of splitting the difference anymore. And I can only speak from my personal perspective that food heals. Food is a medicine. Food is a very real medicine. I have seen and I continue to see it make the differences that are needed and that are necessary, and it will do that provided you use it properly. And not easy to have to contend with it in such a disciplined fashion, but no choice. No choice. He will do so. He'll do fine, I'm sure. He works hard. I know Roy. Good person, good hardworking guy, and he certainly gets the natural medicine picture as well as anybody ever did. All right, let's get back on point here again. We're talking with you tonight about brain boosting, and of course there's a lot of different ways to split that up. And we're talking a little bit about food, the food component of brain boosting. And the top 5 foods, of course, for brain boosting may not appear to be too much of a surprise because they're all healthy foods, but they have specific rationales. I've listed them, and I'll try to kind of go over that with specific detail. Number 1, fatty fish. Some salmon, and again, try to get some fish that's been screened properly, doesn't have a lot of methyl mercury. But fatty fish, of course, has DHA, which we've already talked about, docosahexaenoic acid, which has been studied time and time again as a very powerful anti-inflammatory agent for brain function. So fatty fish is one irreplaceable top 5 food for brain boosting. And here's another one, of course, that a lot of people absolutely love. And I think more and more people are getting tuned into the beauty of avocados. But avocados are, of course, a remarkable form of monounsaturated fat, loaded with monounsaturates, which research indicates there's, again, 2011 British Journal of Neurology study that talks about the importance of avocado. It's supporting prefrontal cortex, left and right prefrontal cortex of the brain, because the monounsaturated fats are preservatives. They support, they insulate, and help preserve the nerve pathways in the prefrontal cortex. So these fats all have different places in the brain where they're going to go, different affinities to support brain function. 2012 Kansas State study, monounsaturated fats in avocados protect astrocytes, brain nerve cells, if you will. This supports brain neurology and the idea of lowering risk for stroke and seizure. Again, this according to a 2012 Kansas State research study. But again, lowering the risk of stroke, lowering the risk of seizure, and protecting and supporting the astrocytes of the brain nerve cells. That's how powerful these monounsaturated fats are. Good fats are irreplaceable. People often ask me, what is the most important of all foods? Is it protein? Is it fat? Well, I mean, they're all important. They all have a specific and a unique and a different purpose in the body and in the brain. But if I had to pick one food, I'd say if you master fats, you've mastered nutrition, because you want to eat the right kind of fats, the right kind of volumes, and you can really make a diet medicinal as you can ever imagine, because, as we just pointed out, the brain is a 3-pound mass of fatty acid that is looking to be replenished by the proper fats to support, to insulate, and to regulate brain function. The brain basically is supported, insulated, and regulated by fats. It is a 3-pound mass of fatty tissue. So the right kind of fats really indeed support the brain function, I should say. So avocado actually has also been found to increase the circulation of blood to the brain. So we talked a little while ago about vinpocetine doing that very same thing. It is true that vinpocetine from periwinkle will do that, but avocados will do the same thing. So the monounsaturated fat in the avocados will help support brain circulation and increase the delivery of nutrients through the blood to the brain. Very important. So leafy greens, I couldn't list a top 5 without listing the green leafy vegetables. And of course, the green leafy vegetables, very high in iron, very high in folic acid or folate, extremely important for brain function, for memory, and for methylation response. In other words, there's oftentimes we're talking about genetic breakdowns, genetic disease expressions, the tendency of a methylation response to express itself in a disease form like Alzheimer's or dementia in the brain. These are part of your genetic map. Everybody has a genetic expression waiting to happen. In other words, great-grandmother, great-great-grandmother, great-great-great-grandmother, on and on and on, developed our gene maps, And we have maps that have certain tendencies for certain diseases like Alzheimer's, like dementia. So whether or not we express those or not has everything to do with our genetic protection. Genetic protection. So genetic protection is really, really important in terms of brain function. And the folic acid in high concentrations of green leafy vegetables will protect the genetic expression of your brain. So in other words, your genes will not be as inclined to express brain dysfunction diseases if the folic acid levels are elevated because of the protection it affords us at a genetic myopathic level. So there you go. Also, I wanted to mention berries and spices as 4 and 5, number 4, number 5. I always point to the great USDA studies, a lot of really supportive studies regarding the antioxidants that certain foods have. Beans, berries, spices loaded with antioxidants. I always talk about ORAC factor, oxygen radical absorbance capacity. What it really comes down to, where the rubber meets the road in terms of nutrition, biochemistry, and brain function, where it really, really happens is free radicals. These dastardly free radical chemistries have this affinity to push the envelope when it comes to the expression of diseases and brain diseases. Antioxidants keep that from happening. They keep that expression from happening, almost like we talked about the folate, the folic acid. So the foods that are the highest in this protection response and these protective agents are the spices and the berries and the beans. Spices, berries, and beans. The highest protective agents for the brain. And again, what they do is they help us to neutralize the presence of free radical peroxides, which of course are the genetic time bombs ready to sabotage your beautiful brain. So if you want that not to happen, you want to make sure you have plenty of antioxidant support. Stop eating the ring dings. Yes, that means you, Brian.
Are you one of the 20 million Americans suffering from neuropathy, shingles, or chronic nerve pain? In the last 3 years, many people have discovered excellent and affordable treatment for diabetic, post-chemotherapy, and other types of neuropathy and chronic pain. Dr. John Hayes, chiropractic physician since 1981 on Route 53 in Norwell, has had such astounding results with his unique neuropathy program that he's now teaching his remarkable system to doctors around the country. His most recent book, entitled Beating Neuropathy, remains a bestseller. In fact, Dr. John Hayes is the world's exclusive educator and trainer for Rebuilder Medical Technologies. Call Dr. Hayes' office 24/7 to schedule a free neuropathy analysis. Call 781-659-7989. That's 781-659-7989. Call now while free neuropathy analysis slots are open.
Now, back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Food, Alites Medical Labs, Santee Holistic Center, and Healthy Living Magazine.
Hey, you out there in Radio Land, have you gone to the all-new improved Good Health Natural Foods down in Quincy, 1630 Hancock Street to be exact? Got to get there. Got to make sure you take a tour. It's just a remarkable place. Ralph and Diane did a superb job. They spared no expense, no effort. Beautiful wooden floors, 60 cooler spaces, 60 coolers. It is absolutely impressive and a testament to their hard work in the community over the past 35 years. Ralph and Diane Matura, Good Health Natural Foods, did a book signing there about a month ago or so, and wow, it was truly impressive. I couldn't get over it. I still am quite amazed at the effort that they put forth. And this store is truly an amazing place, and it's going to make your shopping experience so much better. For starters, you could park. You can't park anywhere in downtown Quincy except Good Health Natural Foods. They got room for about 40 cars there, so no more stress parking. It's really happening. So check out Good Health Natural Foods right down on 1630 Hancock Street, downtown Quincy Center. Hey, we got Tom on the line. Tom, welcome.
Good evening, Doctor. How are you?
Terrific. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Thanks for taking my call.
Pleasure.
I have two questions with regard to stuff that you talked about this evening.
Yeah.
One is you mentioned avocados as a monounsaturated fat.
Yes.
Is olive oil a monounsaturated as well, and can that be an interchange with avocado?
You are right on the money. Indeed, it is. You're right about that. Very good. You get the A+ for nutrition student this evening. You're absolutely right.
Thank you. My second question has to do with you mentioned copper in the list of metals earlier in the show. And I've noticed that oftentimes when I look at the label of a multivitamin, copper is listed as one of the minerals.
You'll never see more than 2 micrograms, 2 mcgs in any kind of nutritional dosing like that, and that's perfectly fine. We're talking about much higher concentrations, and it does accumulate. And, a lot of folks are still drinking tap water, and a lot of towns, unfortunately, like towns in our South Shore, like Scituate, for example, extremely, extremely high levels of copper in the water in Scituate. We've worked with many, many folks who've had toxic copper levels from Scituate. Scituate for many, many years is a copper mining town. There's a lot of leaching of that copper mining business that gets into the water. So the other thing I want to think in terms of is the higher the copper levels, whether you drink that water or not, the more the copper is going to find its way into your body because of the permeability of our tissues. So, I mean, every minute that you're in a shower, a tub, or a pool, you're getting 1 ounce of whatever you're exposed to. So,
it'll be absorbed through the skin?
Sure will. 1 ounce per minute.
Oh, wow.
10-minute shower, 10 ounces of water like you just consumed, like drinking a glass of water every day.
Wow.
So it's pretty easy to get a hold of some pretty nasty elements. And, again, our world is riddled with a lot of these elements, unfortunately. So you got to keep your eyes peeled. My advice is you take some B6. Vitamin B6 will antagonize. Zinc and B6 will tend to move those things out. They antagonize the coppers. And just 100 milligrams of B6 a day will move a lot of that out of there.
Okay.
All right?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling. My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. So let's see here. We've got to summarize this thing a little here. We've been talking with you this evening about brain boosting, so let's pull it all together for you. We talked about Huperzine A, Huperzine, Huperzine A, which is an antioxidant sesquiterpene, and it's extracted from a plant called the Chinese club moss. And it's an amazing supplement that you can purchase at the Good Health Food Store. I recommend Source Naturals, 200 mcgs. 1 a day is enough. 2, if you really want to get after it, try 2. Or try 1 for a week or 2 and see how it feels, and then try 2 if you don't have enough boost. So anyway, the other thing I want to recommend here is EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, EGCG. Easy to remember. That acronym EGCG is simple. And that's usually 700 milligrams. There's one called EGCG Max. 2 a day is 1,400 milligrams. And vinpocetine we talked about from the periwinkle plant. Vinpocetine for brain function, 10 milligrams, 2 a day. I've talked about DHA repeatedly. Again, a lot of folks are taking your fish oils. If you just read your fish oils, you'll see there's DHA in there, so you're probably covered there. The other one I recommend is DMAE, dimethylaminoethanol, which actually has a mood boost component with it. But it improves memory, cognitive function. A lot of folks that I've recommended that to love that product because it gives you a little bit of a mood boost as well as a brain boost. 2 for 1, mood and brain. Boost. So that's DMAE. That's usually 1 to 200 mcgs, 2 a day. So 200 mcgs, 2 a day will do it. DMAE. And again, we talked about the foods, the all-important foods. We say fatty fish is numero uno. Fatty fish with the high concentrations of decazohexanoic acid, DHA. So I'm going to start off there with DHA support through fatty fish oils and fatty fish. So I'd say eat fatty fish at least once or twice a week. Try to not make it tuna. Unfortunately, tuna is a fatty fish that is riddled with methylmercury, and that's not going to help your brain at all. Mercury is a neurotoxin, and it tends to build up in brain tissue and kidney tissue, and it's something you don't want to collect, believe me. Also, avocado we talked about extensively, and as Tom was quick to point out, and he was absolutely correct, it's a monounsaturated fat, as is olive oil, and they are kind of interchangeable in that regard, but those monounsaturated fats are really helpful for the prefrontal cortex, for supporting brain blood circulation and nutrient circulation through the blood. We talked about the great Kansas State research study of 2012, and we talked about the protection of astrocytes, which are brain nerve cells. That's really what it's all about, is protecting those nerve centers, because your brain is firing those neurological messages 250 miles an hour. Just think about that. It takes 0.7 of a second to send a nerve message from the top of your brain to the bottom of your foot. 0.7, bang. Whew. A lot of that going on, firing all day long. More efficient it does when it has these kind of nutrient supports, whereas things kind of break down without them. So when you get that brain sludge, it's because you're not properly nutrified at a brain level. That's what we're trying to help you with. Brain boost. Brain boost, baby. That's how you do it. All right, anyway, we're talking also about green leafy vegetables. Very high in iron and folic acid. Folic acid in particular, really important as a genetic protection agent because, again, methylation, really important to protect against, and folic acid will protect against imbalanced methylation, which, again, is the expression of diseases such as Alzheimer's through your genetic mapping. So you get a little genetic protection with green leafy vegetables. How about that? There we go. Also, I mentioned berries, beans, and spices. Berries, beans, and spices because I talk all the time about the all-important studies that have indicated by the research that's been done anyway that antioxidants are extremely important to protect body and brain, for that matter, against the dread free radical peroxides that really trigger the inflammation and trigger the processes of deterioration at our cell level. So it's really important to make sure that we've got that protection of spices, beans, and berries because of their antioxidant-rich properties that neutralize the free radical peroxides from expressing trouble. So how's that, Ryan? Pretty good? All right. Looks like we got about a minute left. So things are moving along swiftly here, per usual. Hope everybody's enjoying their weekend safely and healthfully, and hopefully have a very healthy, safe week as well ahead. And I just want to mention again one more time, Good Health Natural Foods. New digs down in Quincy. Get on down there and check them out. Really superb job they did down there. We also want to make sure that folks are clear about the fact that we are very much enamored with our sponsors here, and we're sort of thrilled to mention Alatest Medical Labs. And again, a lot of folks need food allergy testing above and beyond the muscle testing type of work that I do. Check out their research site. Their website has a lot of interesting research on there that they've done. It's Alatest Medical Labs, foodallergy.com. Brilliant place. They do superb work, and they're going to help you get in touch with those food allergies. Alatest Medical Labs. All right. We want to thank Ryan Stanton for doing a great job at the board, of course, per usual. He's the master back there. I want to thank Good Health Natural Foods for making this forum possible. I want to thank also Alatest Medical Labs, ditto, and Ed Perry, of course. Without Ed Perry, none of this would be happening. I want to thank you, our trusted, loyal listeners. Until next Sunday, this is Mark McCullough reminding you all, please be wise, be aware, be well, make it a healthy week. Good night.